Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm a graduate student in the Department of Nutrition, Food Science, and Packaging at San Jose State University, and I'm going to show you how to make a very nice vegetable soup. So one of the concepts we're talking about here is mise en place, which means everything in its place. What we have here is all of the ingredients for the soup that we have prepared, laid out, chopped, everything's ready to go before I start the fire at all. So what I've got here, I've got a large pot, I'm heating it up. I'm going to add some olive oil, and then these vegetables will go in order. So we begin with the onions. You can tell our pot is nice and hot. That oil is shimmering, starting to smoke just a little bit. So we put the onions in first. We put the garlic in on top of the onions, because we don't want the garlic to really hit that oil and start to burn. And then this all happens rather quickly. We do all that. We add the onions. We let those just go till that garlic's a little bit fragrant, kind of keep the pot moving. And then we're going to add celery, bell pepper, and carrot. And then we're going to do what's called sweating these vegetables. So we're going to cook them on low with a bit of a cover on it and just bring out the flavor of them without getting color on them. That's the idea. We don't want them browned. We just want them to release their flavor and their liquids into the pot. So that's the first part of this recipe. Okay, stop. So now we're going to take these vegetables, we're going to turn the stove down just a bit. We still want to hear the sound of it simmering. We still want to smell the smell of the fragrant vegetables. We're going to put a lid on this. We're going to let it go for about 5 minutes or so and just cook these vegetables slow in a hot environment that's covered. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes and we've sweated these vegetables down. And what that means, of course, is that all we've done is let this cook a little lower, a little slower with a lid on. And I'm going to set that aside. And now we're going to add the rest of our stuff. So the softer things go in second. We've got some nice zucchini, of which this time of year is very plentiful. And you'll make your neighbors happy by saying yes to accepting that zucchini they want to give you out of their garden. And then we're also adding the piece of a head of cabbage that we had around, because that fits very well with all of these things. And cabbage is inexpensive, tasty, and it adds a nice interest in the soup. Just give that all a little bit of a stir. And I'm going to take the opportunity to season these vegetables while they're all in the pan. We're going to go with some salt. And I'm going to maybe go a little short on the salt right now, because we can always adjust that later and we don't want to have an over salty soup. And I have plenty of pepper. You'll notice I'm seasoning from on high so I get lots of good distribution and the pepper goes where I want it to go. And then the next thing is I'm going to add some tomato product. Here I have a can of diced tomatoes. And give that a little stir. Combine everything. And then one of our little secrets, and we all do it, we buy that jar of pasta sauce from the store because we are in a hurry and we know we're going to need to make a pasta dinner for the family. Save the last little bit of that, and the bottom of that jar of pasta sauce is just the perfect little addition to put into your soup. It gives you some seasoning, it gives you some herbs, and it's got a nice tomatoey base to it, a nice mouthfeel that you want. So we're just going to add just a little bit of that. It's probably less than 1/4 cup. Put that back, stir it all up, and then we have vegetable broth here. If we don't have vegetable broth, it's perfectly okay to use water. I think we're going to use a combination. I've got enough vegetable broth here and water to cover completely. We really want these vegetables covered and submerged. There. So that doesn't quite get us where we need to go. I'm going to use a little bit of water And then the last thing I'm going to add is just a little bit of herbs. I have dried herbs. I like to use dried herbs at the beginning of a recipe, and if I happen to have fresh herbs, I'll add them at the end for a little light, fresh touch. So we have a little bit of basil here, and a little goes a long way with basil, I think. So really, the inside of my palm is about a teaspoon, so we'll use about a teaspoon, and about the same amount of oregano. And that gives it that real Italian flavor, that almost kind of pizza sauce flavor. All right, I'm going to mix this all up, and then I'm going to let it simmer uncovered until all the vegetables are soft and it all comes together. It probably wants about 20 minutes, but as you can see, this is a very fast soup. So we'll be back when this is ready. So now we've cooked off our vegetable soup. We're going to plate some for you. Now, there's a couple of ways you can look at how to expand this vegetable soup, how to serve it, how to garnish it. I might have made this and put some potatoes in it, and that would have just made it super hearty, a full meal, great to go. You could always add some beans. I like kidney beans in this one. In this case, though, we're serving it just a pure vegan soup. Simple. This is a low-carb, delicious favorite, just like that. A lovely bowl of vegetable soup, but there's more things we can do. I have here a little bit of leftover pasta. We just kept some leftover pasta in a nice bag, labeled it, put it in the fridge, used that last little bit. We don't like cooking the pasta in the soup because the pasta it absorbs all the moisture from the soup and it becomes overcooked and big and fat and nobody likes it and it's kind of gross. So here we go. We just take this soup. It's so hot, it's going to warm that pasta up. All we have to do is just add our soup. Now I might garnish this with myself. A little bit of grated Parmesan is just about perfect with this, but it is gorgeous just the way it is. So enjoy.